What if instead of fighting our thoughts, we got curious about them? Imagine how much lighter our minds would feel if every "why is this happening" turned into "what can this show me?" Hello and welcome to Torches, Yoga and Mindfulness. If you're new here, I'm Lauren and I'll be your coach. If you're curious about mindfulness, healing, and practical habits that actually work, you're in the right place because here we focus on simple but powerful practices grounded in ancient wisdom and modern science to care for both our minds and bodies. So make sure you hit the like and subscribe so you don't miss what's next. This week, we are diving into Mindfulness Skills Revamped. Skill number 3, curiosity. Open curiosity is the practice that helps us turn everyday reactions into opportunities of deeper understanding. It means we are genuinely curious and interested in our experiences, thoughts, and emotions. And when we approach experiences with curiosity rather than judgment, our brain engages in a whole different way. A study published in 2010 concluded that curiosity activates the anterior cingulate cortex and the PFC, the prefrontal cortex. We've talked a lot about the PFC. It's the CEO up here in the front in charge of our decision making, planning, and impulse control. Part of the PFC is a region called the anterior cingulate cortex. And this little buddy jumps in when we notice conflict. And not like interpersonal confrontation, but that moment where we go, wait, the math isn't mathing here. And we know from other research that when the ACC and PFC are lighting up, the amygdala calms down, pulling us out of the low level fight or flight we normally run in. And that kind of redistribution of our processing creates regulation and space for exploration, learning, and flexible thinking instead of us just defaulting to our patterns of avoidance or defensiveness. So all this means that curiosity doesn't just activate the same brain regions as other intentional processes do. It specifically promotes a more open, flexible, and emotionally resilient process for us to respond from. So, do y'all remember Jill Bolt Taylor? We've talked about her. She's the neuroanatomist that discovered that the chemical reaction that is our emotions only lasts about 90 seconds unless we feed into it. And curiosity is how we stop feeding into it. If we let a negative thought hook us, we pile on it with thoughts validating and reinforcing that belief. Maybe it's nerves about a new job interview or even submitting the application in the first place. Or maybe there's anxiety about starting something new altogether, or even just the obscure worry that something bad will happen. If we feed into that initial thought, we keep that feeling going and intensifying, or we can get curious about it and invite our PFC and ACC back into the conversation so we can process whatever the experience is with openness and clarity. And that's the practice. When we notice a feeling of hurt, defensiveness, judgment, or anxiety, instead of feeding into that idea, question it. If a friend or family member makes a comment that seems a little off, instead of immediately feeding into the hurt, notice your reaction, how it shows up in your body, and ask yourself, what else could be going on here? If your boss's reaction to something you did or didn't do seems like a little too much, take a pause and consider that this reaction isn't personal, but that it is probably influenced by their own stresses and frustrations. And a little side note on that one, the next time you encounter that with your boss, or anybody really, take your pause to bring in your awareness and then bring in your self-compassion and remind yourself other people's stresses and frustrations are not your responsibility to manage. If you notice a wave of anxiety, stress, or worry has come over you, maybe you know where it came from and maybe not. Instead of trying to logic your way through it by analyzing where it came from or trying to argue with yourself that you shouldn't even be feeling it or that it shouldn't even be here, look for where it shows up in your body. Do a quick body scan. Bring your attention to the crown of your head and slowly work it down the front and the back, noticing any areas of tension, ease, pressure, heat, cold, whatever comes up. And we aren't noticing to fix anything, just to intentionally bring it into our awareness. Then ask yourself, what is this feeling asking for? This gives the feeling space to move and process instead of anchoring in and fueling it. I always say we can't logic our way through our feelings. That's like bringing a colander to help bail the water out of a sinking boat. Your intentions are nice, but it's the wrong tool and not actually going to get you anywhere. When we don't use open curiosity in our daily lives, we would spend the rest of the day upset about the tone that was in that comment from your friend or family, or about the reaction from your boss. And when we overanalyze stress, it just feeds more energy into that feeling to deepen its hold on us. What else could be true here? What might I be missing? And what's something I've never noticed about this? These three questions are the key to stepping out of the autopilot reactions and opening the door to curiosity. Whether you are spiraling over a comment someone made or zoning out in line at the grocery store, these questions gently nudge our brains into exploration. It's like inviting the mind to look around the room instead of locking the door and hiding under the blankets. We don't need a sound bath or incense or enlightenment, just a little willingness to wonder instead of assume. And we can shift from overanalyzing to open curiosity. And curiosity is more than a skill to help us process through heightened emotions or even boredom. When we are curious about our own lives, we start learning more about ourselves. Journaling your curiosities about yourself, even if there aren't clear answers, helps us to reflect in a way that will keep us out of the rumination spirals so we can see everything with clarity. Using the questions I mentioned before or any others that you feel are right for you, you can begin to uncover limiting patterns in your life that keep you stuck in the same cycles. You can find clarity in your values and even your purpose and direction in life. All right, so curiosity is, of course, skill number 3, sitting on a foundation of compassionate awareness. So this week, bring a little curiosity into what you notice and make sure you are subscribed for next week. We will be getting into skill number 4, energy. And we're going to talk about sneaky energy leaks we have in our lives and how we can reclaim it. Friend, thank you so much for sharing a piece of your day with me. Stay present, stay kind to yourself, and I will see you soon.